Airwallex help you set up a bank account globally. It will help you to set up your payment acceptance globally. It will help you to set up your integration with accounting and ERP. Essentially, it's like a single platform to help solve all your financial problem with kind of the infrastructure and software built now with kind of AI on top. So we're building AI agent to solve all these different sort of financial operations problem. Is an intelligent partner for you to be empowered to get insight, to get a deep understanding of every single detail of your business, but also you can take a step back to ask for recommendations how to do better, so that you can focus on what's more important, which is achieving the goal and the mission of your business. We're 10 years in, and we are just getting started. Hey everyone, I'm Zhang, the CEO and co-founder of Airwallex, and we are building the future of global banking.
Hey Jack, great to be here with you. I'm Shannon. I'm the head of product at Airwallex. Welcome to the podcast.
Look forward to it.
I joined Airwallex, when was that? Early 2020, so in my 6th year now. It's really interesting to reflect on why I joined. And companies that are really going deep to solve genuinely difficult problems, such as how do you actually disrupt financial systems that are so heavily regulated? I think if you can move the needle on those types of problems, you can have this sort of tremendous outside impact over a 10-year or horizon beyond this.
Yeah, that's a super exciting topic today. I'm going to talk about all the amazing stuff we built in Airwallex in the last decade and what we're looking forward to build in the next decade.
Super excited to chat with you.
Let's do it.
Hey, I want to keep it really easy to get started. So maybe a non-Airwallex question to start with. What's your favorite podcast and why?
I definitely have to say 20VC, that by Harry Stebbing. And Harry is not only one of the most famous podcasts for the investment community, but also is a dear friend. And he loves to sort of walk in the Hyde Park and then while having a conversation. So I really, really sort of enjoyed that. And, just his energy level, his insight is amazing.
For me, I'd have to say the Acquired podcast with Dave Rosenthal and Ben Gilbert. As a product manager, I just learned so much. I learned so much about how these great companies have been established and sort of how they're evolving and the expectations for the future. And I think for Airwallex, just thinking about where we're going to go in the next 10 years, I want to be one of their stories in the next generation.
What's the favorite episode?
Most recently, just learning about Google's work in AI. It's like a narrative that's playing out right now. With what's happening in AI and the players and what we're going to see into the future. And so super impressed with the content they covered in AI.
I actually listened to that one as well. It's an amazing podcast. I really enjoyed it.
Jack, why did you start Airwallex?
About 10 years ago, I invest in the coffee business. And Max, our co-founder, head of design, is actually operating that coffee business. And his name is on the OFAC blacklist. I mean, clearly it's not him, but he's sort of with the same name. And every time he's wiring money to pay for coffee beans, because we were roasting our own to Brazil or Indonesia, and the money just disappeared for a couple of weeks and then bounced back out of nowhere. And he kind of often complain about it. Also, the high cost of FX. We were using Western Union, we're using some traditional banks. They would charge us, 3-4% on FX to paying those vendors globally. And I really kind of just curious about those problems and kind of just try to figure out if there's a better way to solve those frustrations. And that's kind of how Airwallex was born. We wanted to build the best money mover infrastructure in the world. Then later on, that kind of vision expand, building the future of global banking.
How did you know that you were going to shift from just sort of helping the coffee business run more effectively and solve those problems versus recognizing this is a problem that I need to solve for all businesses?
I think it's really thinking about in the shoes of entrepreneurs. Right. And if you're an entrepreneur, you really just wanted to focus on running your business, achieving your vision. You don't want to worry about the headaches of financial operation, endless spreadsheet, reconciliation, tax, and cash flow and forecasting, everything. And you wanted to have a platform and a partner to empower you to get all this insight, automating all this manual work, and ultimately help you to run your business without any sort of manual headaches.
Yeah, none of those things you mentioned are about making coffee taste better. So
yeah,
if Airwallex can sort of, scrolling forward, take that off a business's plate so they can just focus on their own business and making that successful, then, on the product side, what can we do to help you actually achieve that vision?
I mean, if you're thinking about, initially we wanted to build the best financial infrastructure to help, businesses. Like we started with a business account, but quickly we expanded to spend management and merchant acquiring, online, offline checkout. And this essentially evolving to a single platform, or we call like a financial operating system.
So when we talk about a financial operating system, it's obviously a very broad term. Under the hood, like what does Airwallex actually do? What problems are they solving for businesses as part of that operating system?
Essentially, it's like a single platform to help solve all your financial problem. It's not just like a sort of a vertical solution or like a silo solution to help you solve one problem. And you have to kind of plug in many point solutions together and then to kind of have to worry about how everything is integrate. So this is like a single platform to help you to get your banking set up, get your expenses, spend management, corporate card all set up, get your payment acceptance set up globally, and then integrating with the accounting platform that you literally just need Airwallex to run your business.
And so all of these services are effectively underpinned by the fact that you can operate globally. So holding many different currencies inside the wallet. If you're using payment acceptance and you're accepting funds from your customers around the world, they're paying in their payment methods. Some of them are paying in euros, some are paying in USD. And it's all coming back into euros in your account. It's all coming back into USD. There's no sort of forced FX conversion. So if you have a supplier that then you're sort of paying out in euros, it's one-to-one. You don't have to worry about sort of bringing it all back to USD or something similar. But some businesses are very complex, and so they have entities around the world. Like, how does that work when you're a business that's spread out like this?
Well, when you have multiple entities around the world, you might have expenses in these local countries and you might have revenue in the local countries. So you need to receiving those payments, you need to making payments, whether it's payroll or vendor. So Airwallex built this awesome feature called Global Entity Management, essentially fully integrated with our business account and spend management or payment acceptance product, so that you can orchestrating these different business entities on a single platform to have full visibility on all the sort of payments coming in and payments going out onto this platform and all these different currencies that coming through and to the platform as well. And next stage, we actually building intelligence layer that powered by AI that to help you to run those financial operations autonomously, whether it's approvals, workflows, expenses, policy, and billing, all these elements that you need to solve from a payments financial service point of view that you can rely on Airwallex to be your intelligence financial partner to kind of automating your business.
Yeah, so this is really interesting actually, because I think like if I look at the sort of the early days of Airwallex, we're building out the financial infrastructure, like we're investing a lot in the licenses in different regions, the financial partners operating in those countries to basically bring together this network of different payment systems. We've got the payment acquiring side. I want to talk more about that shortly. We've got the card issuing, but more and more we're investing a lot in building on the software side. So you talked about sort of managing spend. You talked about if you're on the receivable side, there's billing software as well. What's really interesting for me is, well, actually, there's so many interesting things about this, but when you talked about AI, the spend software really helps establish context on what you're doing with your financial transaction. If you have one system over here that's managing your vendors, and then you have another system separately that actually allows you to make a payment to a vendor, you're not really sure why that payment's happening. It's just, it's being downloaded, it's being re-uploaded, or somebody's sort of swivel chairing from one product to the next. But if you have that context together, you really understand who this business is, who their vendors are, which industry they're operating in. And this gives so much more context for, new technologies like AI.
Yes, and think about it, like if you actually run this not just in one country, run in many countries, and how disjointed that's going to be. Say if you using, Concur or Ramp in the US and using like a Pleo in Europe, or using another software in Australia, and you have all these different entities that you have to worry about. How do you actually creating this holistic view to run your business autonomously with AI. They just impossible. And the better way to do that is using a single platform to consolidating all your financial operations globally so that you can see all the money in, money out, to have all the workflows set up in a single platform so you don't have to worry about it.
And then you can see that full lineage. You don't have to worry about sort of like risk issues or perhaps like any changes happening off system, because you can see the lineage all the way from the vendor through the approval flows. Maybe there's a funds transfer in the middle, and then the payout actually happens.
Yeah, and the beauty of that is not just the global, but also the vertical integration between the AI and the software and the infrastructure.
If we talk about the infrastructure for a minute, like how deep does it go?
Well, we started the business by building the best money movement infrastructure, because money movement is the most primitive financial infrastructure in the world, right? It doesn't matter what services you provide in financial services, you need to move the money. Building the best money movement infrastructure will kind of give us that kind of best foundation to extend that into payment acceptance and also bill pay, and then sort of spend and pay out. But more importantly, that we have this multi-currency infrastructure that allow you to processing transactions in over 180 countries around the world in all these local currencies. You don't have to worry about getting charged 3-4% of hidden FX fees. And once the money come in, you can have all this visibility of these currencies in your wallet, able to converting these currencies either manually or autonomously with kind of interbank rate with a small fee. And then you can managing all your spend on the platform as well. You have money movement infrastructure integrated with bill pay or payroll when you're using the software, and it's fully vertical integrated with your ERP as well, so you don't have to worry about any manual reconciliation.
Let's sort of consider this scenario. So as a business, you're trying to invoice your customers. I know we recently acquired OpenPay and their billing solution, for example. So we have the software that helps the business actually generate the subscription, generate the invoice. We can now use Airwallex's payment solutions to actually allow that customer to settle that invoice, to make a payment online. Independent of the currency, it's settled directly into Airwallex's wallet infrastructure. So it could be euros, it could be USD, it could be pounds. And then when you think about your outgoings, you're using Airwallex Spend to actually understand who are my suppliers, have I actually received the goods that I wanted, does it match the purchase order and the invoice they send me, and then I can schedule a transfer. I could potentially put the funds in yield in the meantime if the funds are due in 30 days, and then the payout actually happens in Airwallex in the same currency itself.
Exactly. Another example is if you are AI business out of Silicon Valley and you have customers in UK and Europe, and you have customers in Australia, and instead of paying 2-3% to process payment converting to US dollar, you can basically settle directly in GBP and Euro or Aussie to your multi-currency wallet. And you might have expenses from a marketing, from a payroll standpoint in those local currency. You don't need to worry about paying another currency conversion from USD to those local currencies, right? You just have a wallet, Euro, GBP, and Aussie comes into the wallet, and you have expenses goes out from the wallet as well.
Yeah,
and they're just extremely efficient.
So in that whole lineage that I just described, and you expanded, like there wasn't even a currency conversion there. If you can actually just like keep the funds in the same currency, it's in and out in the same way, and it's all through the same infrastructure. And
the beauty is that you have the billing software to kind of does all your usage-based billing. That you also have, we build an orchestrator that through kind of integration with OpenPay, that you can have many processors that you can use, whether it's Stripe or whether it's RDN and Airwallex, and you can kind of basically route your transactions based on the best success rate of the transactions, and then Airwallex will just handle the rest.
I think that's really cool too, actually. So if you are sort of using Airwallex as part of your financial infrastructure and managing the currencies, but you are also using one of these other acquirers, you can still do that. You can use sort of Airwallex's services.
I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, you're a business, you just want to leveraging the best technology to give you the best success rate, because essentially like a 1% of the difference is 1% of your revenue, and that matters. And to leveraging the orchestrator give you the sort of flexibility and the redundancy to allow you to do that most efficiently.
If we talk more about payment acceptance, like I think a lot of like merchants or a lot of consumers probably don't even realize how hard it is sometimes for a card transaction to be successful. And that's particularly true when you're making an international transaction. So the customer might be, in Europe, for example, and you're selling to them from an entity in the US. I'm so impressed with our risk and our authorization team. Like they have just put so much effort into understanding international spend, understanding all of the different payment networks around the world. And this is why some of the biggest e-commerce retailers actually choose Airwallex, because their authorization rates are so much higher than the competition. And while Airwallex might not be as well known as like some well-established players, actually we've got some of the best-in-class auth rates of any of the players in that,
and
that industry.
We're already processing billions of transactions on the monthly basis. As you said, we are number one sort of auth rate in over 68 countries around the world when we compare to the like of Adyen and Stripe to process transaction for some of the biggest e-commerce platforms in the world. And then we're able to leveraging this infrastructure we built for some of the largest companies in the world to SMBs as well and to startups as well, so that you don't need to pay 3-4% of FX to the like of Stripe or other traditional acquirers.
Traditional finance, it's like a very sort of offline approach. It's not adapting to some of the newest software tech. Like AI is very topical. Like, how do you think that sort of influences what financial systems are going to look like in the future?
I mean, as an entrepreneur or founder or business operator, you do not care about the software itself, right? You care about what goals you want to achieve, right? You want your book to be closed on time, and you wanted to receiving payments on time. You wanted to able to reconcile automatically. You wanted to paying your vendors on time. You wanted to pay your employees on time, and you wanted to have a policy. So we're building AI agent to solve all these different sort of financial operations. So you will have a policy agent to help you to review the policies and implement these policies. And you will have approval agent to help you to read the policy and understand the policy and just approve the transactions within those. When you're onboarding a vendor, you wanted to have a vendor onboarding agent to looking at all the criteria that you were onboarding a vendor and ultimately like approve it if it's within the policy. And these are just the kind of examples of the kind of 50 plus AI agent we're going to build on top of our software and infrastructure.
I think that 50 plus number is fascinating, actually. I think we see a lot of like AI through chatbots today. You mentioned some of the like sort of cool like auto approval systems that you can build. But actually it's also a lot of the agents just in the background that nobody knows about, just sort of helping with those authorization rates, just like bringing to your attention at the right time if there's a sort of change in your cash flow, for example, understanding sort of how the sort of merchant or your customer mix is changing and what you need to be able to do about that. Like I think the number of different places you can insert AI through this sort of lineage, from understanding your supplier all the way to the payout, or in the opposite direction collecting, is actually really impressive.
Yeah, and that's just the beginning, right? And the future is autonomous finance. But ultimately, you need a fractional CFO to allow you to make better business decisions that will kind of really kind of go deep into understanding the different aspects of your business. Where's your revenue coming from? Where's your cash flows coming from? Where's actually how you manage your treasury and where the money is going to? And give you that recommendation on how to better run your business. And when you actually need it to understand your burn, understand your cohort analysis, understand how your economics actually happen within your business, then the AI just kind of give you all this data and making recommendations how you should run better on your business. Because we study tens of thousands of businesses on the platform, and we kind of understand the best practices in the finance world, and AI will give you that recommendation. So as a sort of platform, Airwallex is just not kind of a replacement of the manual working of financial operations, but also be the intelligence partner to help you to getting informed and run better and more efficiently on your business.
It's this sort of interesting pivot from like just sort of collapsing the manual work and sort of automating that, which makes sense, to being far more like proactive, like a human business partner. To actually
and that is exactly what we talk about the future of global banking, right? It's not just a traditional bank. It's not just the financial infrastructure or the software that you kind of think anything like today. It's an intelligent partner for you to be empowered to get insight, to get a deep understanding of every single detail of your business, but also you can take a step back to ask for recommendations how to do better, so that you can focus on what's more important, which is achieving the goal and the mission of your business.
I'm putting my product hat on, like, what does the interface look like for our customers? Like, today they can sort of log in, they can see their sort of financial situation, they can initiate a transaction or look at their settlements. Like, what does the interface look like?
I think, I would love to do a demo, and we're launching something extremely exciting called Airwallex Copilot. Essentially, it's a very sort of ChatGPT-like interface, a chat interface that, from where you actually sign up and get onboarded to Airwallex, it will automatically recommend what you should do to familiar with the platform. It will help you to understand where you're going to actually accepting the payments, where you're going to actually grow your business, where you get your revenue from. It will automatically set up the bank account you need it in the US or in Europe or in Australia, wherever that you wanted to grow your business. It will also understand how you wanted to making payments. That kind of interface would essentially like a chatbot that will kind of interacting you with on a daily basis to kind of guide you through the Airwallex platform to kind of help you to set up your financial operation from 0 to 1, but also help you to all the way to scale up your business globally.
I think like, when I, coming from a computer science background, I just, and maybe, being at this age, like people just love chat. People love chat. Like I remember like before we had mobile phones, you'd actually have to like call somebody on the phone and speak with them, or you'd have to call up and make a restaurant booking. It's just like, people don't call each other anymore. They just want to use chat as an interface. And I think, no matter how advanced technology gets, and we may have like sort of robotic agents and other things in the future, it's just such a natural way for people to interact with technology now.
And then also you wanted to just ask questions to understand what's going on in your business, right?
Yeah.
What is the top 10 vendors, in the last 9 months? Oh, where can I save money? And you can looking at, if there's anything out of the policy and I need to pay attention to. And you can also looking at on the revenue side is like, where's my, top 10 revenue coming from around the world, and then give you kind of insight on some of the interesting points of, you might find out all of a sudden that you have, 100,000 customers out of Japan and you didn't pay attention to, and that give you kind of that highlight in real time. All these amazing features, both the AI and the software and the infrastructure that are fully integrated, it's just like a single product.
It's so interesting. Like we started with the financial infrastructure. It obviously takes a long time to sort of build out the infra and create the right, sort of compliance systems. We're moving into software like spend and billing. You talk so enthusiastically about the software that's coming, but it's actually like the accelerating nature of software itself that gives us the confidence to be able to continue to provide these services to our customers beyond what we're doing today.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty interesting. On the AI side, like obviously we're talking about financial systems, like the money movement must be precise and exact. It must go to the exact right person. We need to make sure there's no fraud involved. So like if everything just becomes a chat interface, like what happens now? Am I sort of delegating too much to AI?
Yeah, so I think all the financial operations or the approvals needed, you basically set it up with assistance of the AI, but you still ultimately need to prove it, whether it's by department, by division, by location, by, managers, by amount. You can still set up those workflows and you can still set up the policies, and the AI just there to interpret the policy and assisting you to put those policies and procedures in place. And once those processes and operations are in place, and the AI just kind of monitoring those processes and make sure everything is following the approval process. Anything that out of those policy and that reads alert, and then you as a kind of operator of the business can go in when necessary to intervene, right? So the AI doesn't actually do anything out of your expectation. Even you have the most beautiful software in AI, it doesn't have the visibility on the actual financial transaction where the actually money goes out of the door and your revenue come into the door, and you lose like the big portion of the benefit of the AI.
Right.
This is exactly what Airwallex is solving for with that kind of fully vertical integrated infrastructure plus software plus AI in a single platform.
Right. So the infrastructure like is enabling the rails. The software is actually like establishing the sort of processes and controls, and the AI is streamlining that and being your partner in actually leveraging that software.
That's the future of global banking we're talking about.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. One more technology area that's really interesting is stablecoins. They've had a lot more attention recently. But how do you see stablecoins as being part of financial operations, and certainly how will Airwallex get involved?
When people talk about stablecoin, they still kind of kind of associate that or correlate that to cross-border payment. That's kind of a better way of moving money globally. That's kind of the tagline right now. Where if you kind of look into the details of how stablecoin operate, if I'm paying a vendor, I'm paying an employee in Europe from the US, that the employee or the vendor in Europe may not want to take US dollar stablecoin, and they might just still want a euro, that kind of in a bank account. And in that case, it's not necessarily the most efficient way of using stablecoin, because they still have to off ramp from USDC or another sort of US dollar stablecoin to euro, and the spread on that transaction is generally 10 times more expensive than how the G10 currencies get converted and transacted today. And we also have real-time payment system in most of the kind of countries in the world, like faster payment in the UK or SEPA in Europe. So actually paying an employee and paying a vendor from US to Europe is already real-time. And the cost of that is almost on FX conversion is very minimal. So it's kind of largely a problem already solved. But if the merchant or the vendor in Europe decided to take stablecoin for whatever reason, that Airwallex are prepared to build those infrastructure so we can support stablecoin transfer. So if you are a business in the US, you wanted to leverage in stablecoin or USDC or another type of form of stablecoin, to pay a vendor, and provided that vendor have to accept that stablecoin, and then we're more than happy to provide that service. And as sort of stablecoin getting more popular, more adopted, and we might see more and more business are kind of more open-minded to do business entirely on stablecoin, and that you don't need to worry about off-ramp anymore. And as that sort of trend taking off, Airwallex are kind of there for you. When we talk about building the best money moving infrastructure or best financial infrastructure, we're not just talking about fiat. We're talking about any digital endpoint or any form of currency. And that's all part of the vision of building the best financial infrastructure for Airwallex. And that's kind of exactly how we imagine what the future of global banking lies.
What's most exciting for you looking forward?
I have to come back to AI, that building that fully autonomous, intelligent financial system for our customers in the next decade is going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's moving so quickly. I think the staff are super excited. There's some great engineering talent. So I think it's something that the team can really get behind too, to really build that momentum. Very cool. Airwallex 10-year anniversary.
It's amazing to see how much we have achieved in the last decade, and the next decade only going to be even more amazing. We're 10 years in, and we are just getting started.
That's amazing. Hey, Jack, this has been really fun. Thanks for chatting with me. If this podcast goes well, we're going to have to come up with a name for it.
Yeah.
That's a wrap on this episode. We hope this conversation gave you practical insights, food for thought, and a clearer view of what's shaping the future of global finance. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and stay tuned for more deep dives into the technology, strategy, and people shaping this new era of global finance. We'll catch you next time.